So when it comes to episode 6 of season 1 of Before, it feels like there's almost a promise of a better show, as it seems Before has moved beyond setting a foundation and is really trying to dive into the mystery, which is not only Noah's situation, but also Lynn's. So for the first topic, it's all about the aftermath of Eli opening up Noah's head and pretty much being that Eli's not a surgeon, and there's really no psychological technique that can be proven with facts or even research. Him doing what he did becomes a hot button issue at the hospital, to the point where, as much as Jane wants to support him, she also recognizes that his continued presence is not going to help the situation, so he needs to leave. And with that, Eli goes back to his office only to find that Sue-Ann is staging his house, and the two, it's not a good time for him. Luckily, Barbara reminds him that he was supposed to take Sophie to an ice skating lesson or just go ice skating with her in general. So that gets him out the house, even though he's still very much focused on the Noah situation. But what breaks him out of this while he's with his family is that he keeps thinking about Benjamin and that whole situation. And with that, he begins to question, what does Barbara know about Benjamin? And, Barbara, she gets a little bit excited. After all, how often is it that Eli opens up to her about her mother? Never mind, wants to talk about something that deals with her past. Now, unfortunately, Eli eventually shuts down, but that's only after Eli gets reminded that the reason why Lynn and Eli even met is because Eli was Benjamin's doctor. And with that in mind, that sends him off to find Cleo, because now he needs some documents to put some pieces together. Unfortunately, while Eli has the support of Cleo, the support of Jane, even Barbara to some point, Denise doesn't have this. She doesn't have a support system, and this leaves her to be a bit of a wreck. Eli was supposed to be a trusted ally, as was Gail to a certain degree, but now Gail is talking about sending Noah to someone that's a bit more intensive. Eli just cut Noah open, and when Denise goes to Eli's office for answers to hope and make sure they're still on the same page, she meets Cleo, and while the two have a friendly little chat, when Denise steps into Eli's office, she sees this wall that looks like a conspiracy theory. And with that, she realizes that she's on her own. And this makes her very upset because she feels rather powerless, and being that Noah's is one of his moods where he's pushing her away, she doesn't know where or who to turn to, and you can see the frustration just overwhelm her. Which leads to the final topic, and that's the events leading up to Benjamin's death. Now, with Cleo being able to get Benjamin's file through some bartering and who knows what else, not to say she did anything salacious, but point is, Cleo gets Benjamin's file to Eli, and Benjamin Walker, his full name, died around 1977. And with having his file, Eli has the address of Benjamin, and he goes to where Benjamin used to live and discovers his younger brother Lawrence. With Lawrence, Eli begins piecing everything together, from the fact that he might have been the one that accidentally killed Benjamin, the fact that Benjamin was talking in Dutch and all that before he died, and Lawrence kind of adds in a little bit of details, like for most of his life, he knew Benjamin had night terrors. Benjamin stole from him when he was starting to become an addict. And pretty much the main thing that Eli gets from this is that he killed Benjamin. And when he killed Benjamin, he broke his sternum, I guess, or a rib. And when he was bruising, that bruise happens to be similar, if not identical, to the birthmark that Noah has. Now, to show that Eli doesn't learn his lesson, he decides to go see Noah, despite what Jane said. He opens the young man's chest up, not his, open his shirt up, to see the birthmark. And while he gets a confirmation that Benjamin and Eli have a similar marking, the episode ends there, so we don't know if Noah wakes up and then he has this grown man trying to look at his chest, or maybe one of the nurses see this, but while we get a big reveal, we're also left in the space where it's kind of like Eli can definitely be questioned about certain things. So the review is much shorter than the recap, and that's just because it feels like, on a positive note, we're finally starting to move past building a foundation, is really starting to connect the dots. For with the discovery that Benjamin's bruise is a matching to Noah's birthmark, now it's a clear, defined connection between the two, and it really starts to have things make sense. Be it how Noah seems to be aware of certain things between Eli and Lynn, him knowing what a house was, him speaking Dutch for some reason, him pointing to that picture and saying that this is me when he was pointing to that picture that Lynn drew, and other situations which made it seem that there had to be some type of supernatural connection between Noah and either Lynn or now Benjamin. But while this episode was definitely a reprieve, it still doesn't answer a lot of questions regarding Lynn's situation in terms of that moment we saw a couple episodes ago. Was that Eli killing his wife? Why did Lynn die? In terms of this push that she committed suicide, was it really just because she had cancer, got tired of fighting, or was it something more sinister? Could it have been something dealing with Eli? There's still a lot of questions that are unanswered, and the main thing this episode did was give hope, but whether or not that hope is everlasting or hope is just a random flash in the pan, it's hard to say, because this show was on a downward path, and I'm not going to pretend that this episode can give it enough momentum to end on a high note. I just don't have it in me. But overall, I would definitely say when it comes to episode 6, Fever Dreams, again, there's hope given that this show can end on a high point, but because there was so many ho-hum, almost filler type episodes, it's hard to really give faith to before ending in a way that could be satisfactory. But fingers are crossed.